Thank you for joining. Obviously, this is a very popular webinar, but frameworks do tend to work in that way because there's usually quite a broad spectrum of people that can get involved in the tendering. So my job today is to just talk you through the tendering process, to give you an idea of where everything is and where you can share it, where you can find everything that you need. I'm just shutting down all of my things that I don't need running here. And I'm going to start right at the beginning, so finding the opportunity itself, because there's so many people on the call today. Some of you may already have been logged in and you've got the documents, and you might have some burning questions that you want to ask me about specific parts of the tender, or maybe advice on a particular question. That's fine. We'll have loads of time for that at the end. But today what I'm going to do is start at the beginning. Where do I find the opportunity? How do I download the documents? And then when we get to that point, we'll have a good look into it and look at what we need to do to actually complete the tender compliantly. So first things first, we have to get to Public Contracts Scotland, which you can see the web address up there in the top in the browser, but Google Public Contracts Scotland if you haven't done so already. Now, the first thing with Public Contracts Scotland is that you can be logged in and have a profile in there, which is great. And I would thoroughly encourage you to do that, to register as a supplier and set up a supplier finder profile and things like that if you haven't done already, because it makes you visible to public sector buyers. But for the purposes of today, we don't need to log in necessarily to find the information that we need, because a lot of the information being public sector is just there. It's published for everybody to see. And what we're going to look at today also is there's two different systems that are used. So we have Public Contracts Scotland, and if you were going to bid on an opportunity that was being managed through this website, you would have to log in and do some other stuff. Because this is being, Fran mentioned there, PCST, there's Public Contracts Scotland tender. So for larger contracts like this one, we find that they usually go through the other system, and that's one that we would have to log into. So because it's being managed in that secondary system, you don't have to be logged in here, although you can be, and you'll get exactly the same results. So I just wanted to sort of clear that one up. So lots of different ways that you can actually try and find this this opportunity, just to start off the process of tracking it down and finding the documents. Now, you could go into the search notices area here. So we know that it's the civil engineering framework. Just bear with, sometimes it can be a little bit slow to go between the tabs when I'm running the WebEx, but we will get there. So first of all, we can just click on the search notices tab. And as you can see here, I'm not actually logged in, but I've got access to all of these. Now, we can put in some keywords to help find the opportunity, or we can put in the buyer's name. Now, let's try a couple of different ways. So if I start with the buyer's name, if I put in forestry as a starting point, you can see here it's brought me up anything with the word forest in it, or anything vaguely related to the same thing. And we can see here we've got Forestry and Land Scotland here has come up on the search. So if I was to click on that, and then I scroll down to the bottom here and click on search, that's all I've done. I've looked for that particular buyer, and then it will update the records here. And you can see next to published by on all of them, it says Forestry and Land Scotland. So I can see straight away down here, here's our civil engineering and framework one. But if we scroll up, there's obviously lots and lots of different ones here. So there's anything that they've publicised will go here. So we've got 974 records. So if you weren't able to actually find it on there, what you might like to do then is put in some keywords to help you find that. So say if we were to put in civil to try and break those notices down and find it, and press to search again down at the bottom, then you can see it's come up at the top here. So the civil engineering framework. So that's one way to find it. So doing keyword searches here. You can also, if we go back to the home screen here, you can click on search buyers. And again, if we just put in forestry, which I always seem to spell incorrectly, You've got the Forestry and Land Scotland here. Again, if we click on that, search buyers, and then it only gives us them because we've clicked on those. Click on them and you can see here there's all different information about the buyer here, all different bits of information about their wider procurement activities. But if we click here on their current contract notices, we've got the civil engineering framework here as well. So there's a few different ways to get into it. And basically, you can see here, these are all live tenders. They do have past ones, they've got future ones, but these are the active ones here. So that's how you can locate the actual opportunity itself. So once we've got this far, or once we've got it in the other view that I showed you first of all, anything underlined is usually hyperlinked in PCS. So if you click here on the civil engineering framework, it will take me to the page that is just telling me about that particular opportunity. So straight away, you can see here, I've got this message in the blue box at the top here. And I know a lot of users will tend to sort of go, oh, that's probably just something like that bit of guidance, I'll scroll down. But always have a look at these blue boxes when you're using PCS, because they've usually got vital information in them to help you understand what's on the page there. So you can see here, the buyer is using PCS Tender to carry out this procurement. This is a separate website, and if you're not already registered, you will be required to do so. So that is what we're going to go on to have a look at in a moment. Also very important, it's telling you to not only go to that PCS Tender website to express your interest in this notice and get hold of the documents, but when you get there, you need to search for project code 30370. Now, locating opportunities on PCS falls into PCS Tender, I should say, sorry, falls into two categories. So they can either be listed as PQQs, which is the old terminology for the selection stage, but it's still called that in the website. And then we've got ITTs, open to all suppliers. So quite often, and I'll show you this when we get into it, people get confused because they're putting in that code and they're not finding it, but they'll be in the PQQ area, not the ITT area. So make sure you've got that code, and also you know whether you're looking at the ITTs or the PQQs, ITT being an invitation to tender. So just very quickly, while we're still in PCS, what you have here is the full notice text. So this is the notice is basically the publication that tells the world and all of us suppliers that this opportunity is now open for tender. And it will also publish one when it's been awarded as well. And it gives you overarching information about it. Now, this is obviously a large scale tender, both in terms of value and the amount of works being covered, hence why we've probably got so many people on the call today. But you can see that it tells you straight away it's broken down into five different lots, but then there's lots within the lots. There's sub-lots here. So if we add all of those together, we've got what, 35, 36, 46, 55. So 55 different lots available there. So, and they're all, these numbers here just relate to category codes that tag that notice to different profiles. So because there are so many, it will make sure that people who are looking for these types of works will pick them up through these numerical codes that the system links from the notice to maybe your search profile or any alert services you get. You've got the full notice text there, so just some bits around this. It will tell you again where you go to get the information. It gives you contact information for Forestry and Land Scotland there. And then it gives you a little bit more information. So again, the value of this framework is substantial. So obviously, I wish that was going to each individual supplier that was successful, but that's divided across all of those 55 lots. And it says here, you know, tenders may be submitted for a maximum of 29 lots. So we're just looking at this to get that initial information. So There's 55 different lots available, but what this notice is telling you is that you can only bid for a maximum, or you will only be awarded a maximum of 29 out of the 55. So they don't want one supplier to deliver everything. They want to split that up. And then it gives you a little bit more information in here about the different lots. So what they're being broken down into, maintenance and small scale works in a particular area. And then it also is telling you here exactly what sort of stuff is covered in that lot. So the types of works that they're talking about. And then you can see here that they have broken this down even further so that you understand how it's going to be evaluated. So this particular lot is going to be 70% of the scoring is on price, 30% on quality, which is being broken down into two separate quality areas there. So evidence of time on site and valuation accuracy, and then the second one being a methodology statement there. So if you scroll down here, obviously with there being so many different lots, we couldn't go through all of them today. I'm not going to go through all 55 of them, but you will be able to have a look here. These are largely the same, but they're just different geographical areas that you can bid into. And some of that is quite repetitive. But if you go down there, it'll give you an indication of what's underneath that lot. So it's called this as like a headline of those 5 things, but those breakdowns of 14 of this, 12 of this, 9 of this, it'll give you the breakdown of the services within that. Again, you've got a bit of contact information there as well. So very light on detail in PCS, but that's fine. So what we need to do now, and again, it's all here for you in the system. You can navigate to PCS tender through a separate tab. You know, you can just open it up and go to the PCS tender website. But if we click on this link here, it brings me straight to the home page for PCS tender. And I like this because it keeps this one open. So when I need to know that code and remind myself what area I need to go to, I've still got that information. It's not, you know, opened it on top of the web page I was already looking at. So I am already registered because obviously, as Fran said, you know, I bid on stuff myself and on behalf of customers. So I already have a login for PCS. If you don't, you click on the register as a supplier link here, which is small, but it is there. And if you just put in, obviously read the statement, say that you agree to it, and then you will see here, I'll obviously come out of this because I don't need to register twice, but you just basically go through this form, anything with a star next to it, we're completing, and then it will validate, and you go through a few different tabs, and basically then your account is created there. So as I said, don't need to do that. So I'll jump back into here. I've got my login information here. And I would just point out as well at this point that if after today you're going to use this and you're not sure what to do, there is this function here. So how to find an ITT or PQQ supplier guide. So once we go into the system now, as I said, it's not always, but I do get feedback, people saying it's not always the easiest to navigate, but there is that user guide there. So I'm now in PCS tender. I've got all my details here. You will register if you're not already registered. And then I hit the sign in button and thankfully it works. I have obviously checked it this morning, but you never know, just strange things can happen. And what I want to just show you here is you've got the links here to go and find the tender itself, but I would also just highlight this section over here, which is your user profile. So part of the journey in Scotland in regards to procurement is to try and digitalise as much as possible, so we're not having to give the same facts and figures and details and information over and over again, like filling out your company information. So once you're in PCS tender, if you go into the manage my profile part here, it will give you an opportunity to add in your company information here. So I've sort of done a lot of mine. I haven't done tons of it because I tend to do stuff that's smaller value that goes on the other website. You can see here, it basically anything that is in the standard selection questionnaire. So sorry, that is the English version of it. Apologies, I've been doing training on that this morning somewhere else. The single procurement document, the Scottish version of it. I should get booed for that, shouldn't I? it all in here digitally. So I can go through this section by section. So again, you've got the data there, got your profile data there. It takes you all the way through. And if I go down this page here and fill out all of the information that it's asking me for, then that will then pull that into the ITT exercise. So rather than me having to manually type all this information in again, every time I want to go and tender, it draws it through. And I can edit it as well. So if you need to change something for a particular tender or whatever, you can do. But I would recommend you do that just because it saves so much time looking up your company number every time, typing that in, what address are we registered to, what's the postcode, all of that. It'll all be stored here for you to use for every tender. So actually finding the document that we're looking for. So as I mentioned before, we've got the PQQs area, so pre-qualification questionnaires, which is that single procurement document. But then we've got the ITTs. So we've been told in PCS this is being run through the ITTs area. So that's where we need to go. And it will say whether it's one or the other. The dashboard just gives you an overview of all your bidding activity. Contracts are things that you've won that are in contracting. So they're either side of the process. So if I just click here on the ITTs area, you will see here it's got a huge list of all of the current live ITTs. So we've got 176 currently running, and that's across the whole of the public sector in Scotland for above threshold procurement. So what we now need to do is find this opportunity. So you can see here, we've got these project codes listed down here. And if I click back over here into my notice, the project code here, we've got 30370. So I usually just copy that. So Control C, go into here, and then it's asking me to set up a filter. So you control what filters are in place. So I want to find it by the project code. Hopefully this works. So I'm asking it to search by the project code. And I always use contains, because if you use some of the other ones, sometimes I find it doesn't read it as well. But if you say contains, it means it searches the whole thing. Now, if I Control V and paste in my code from PCS, 30370, and hit the search button, hopefully, no, let's have a look. Yep, there we go. So we've got them all down here. We've got all of these different opportunities on the board here. So it looks like what this has done is split them out into the 55 individual lots. So that's where using that system that I said before about putting all your details up front in the Finder profile will be beneficial, because then if you are deciding to apply for 29 lots, you're not having to complete that selection stage information that many times. So as you can see here, we do have all 55 lots split out here in the numbers that we've got. So I'm just going to start with the top one. This might not necessarily be the one that you're applying for, but the process you will go through will be the same as what I'm about to show you here. Unfortunately, in the time we've got, I won't be able to go through all 55 of them and have a look at all the documents, but I will be able to highlight the key things that you need to have a look at. So if I click on this one here, so let's just say I am going for the national lot for panel bridges. If I click onto that there, and just move this out the way. I don't know which bits of the WebEx you can see or not, or whether it's blocking your view. So you can see here, all I'm doing first of all is I'm expressing interest in this opportunity. Now I can click decide later if I'm not sure, and then it will show up on my control panel. There's a printable view just in case you wanted to print off, but obviously, you know, you've got to think about whether you need to or not. It's all here on the page. And it's basically just giving me that some overall information from that notice that we looked at in PCS. It's telling me when the clarification deadline is. So that's a really important date to note. So part of the public sector process is that now that the tender is live, I as the buyer, can only answer questions through the question and answer log. So you can't call me up, you can't email me, you can't meet me on the street and ask me something about the tender. You have to submit a question through this portal. And what I will then do is periodically answer your question and any others that I've got, and release a Q&A log to all people that have expressed an interest in the opportunity. So it anonymizes it. It won't tell everybody else who's asked what questions, but the log will be shared with everybody to keep the process fair and transparent. So for this tender, you've got the 24th. So the last opportunity for you to ask any clarification questions on this tender is 5 o'clock on Monday, which means that if you're new to this, or maybe you've logged in and shown interest, but you're just getting into the actual meat of responding to the tender and reading the documents, I would express that activity. So I would put a bit of a rush on that, because the worst thing is that the bid's not due until the 8th of December. And what you don't want to do is then lose that time. So you're then going to have 2 weeks to bid, but maybe there's a niggling question or something you're not sure about, or something that you feel is open to interpretation. And if you don't ask that question through this portal by 5 p.m. on Monday, you lose your opportunity to get that clarified by the procurement team. And I'll show you how to send those messages once we get into the actual ITT itself. Again, got the split between the sort of commercial score, which is the 70%, and the technical or the quality score being the 30% there. So I am going to express my interest in this. So again, bear in mind that you will have to go into each individual lot that you want to apply for and express interest in it to get access to all of the documents and upload your response. It's not one and it's done. That is how they are run occasionally, that there would be like one ITT for a framework, and then you just sort of indicate within that which lots you want to go for. The forestry have chosen a different way to manage it, so each one is individual. So if I click on express interest here, warning, you have now expressed interest in this lot. You cannot submit a response for this lot until you first submit the related qualification only ITT, which you have been auto-enrolled in. This can be found in the multi-lot projects ITT area visible to the left of your lot response page. Now, some of you might be thinking, I beg your pardon. What does that mean? So what it's saying is that there is a selection stage, and what you have to do is you have to complete that bit first before you will then be allowed to submit your ITT, which is your pricing and your written proposal with that method statement and the other question in there that we saw. So I will click confirm. And then you can see here, this is again to navigate this when you're not familiar with it. Some people find this a little bit confusing, but you can see here that it's taken me straight into the multi-lot project there, and I've got the qualification only ITT, which is common to all lots. So this one, it means I only have to do once. So you don't have to do this one 29 or 55 times, whatever you're planning to do. You do this one once, and then you have individual ITT submissions for the lots that come off that. If anyone has any questions about this or wants me to just run through that again at the end, please do let me know, because I know it is a bit confusing. So you can see here I've got my multi-lot response is incomplete. So if I click on this one here, you can see that this is basically bringing through all of those questions that were in that form that I showed you at the front. And you can see here where I've given it my information in my profile, my overall PCST profile. You can see it's pulled through the information for me here. So that would happen if you were doing it. Now, before we get into this, I will also point out a few different things that you need to be aware of. So the first one here is the buyer attachments. Now, these should, as it says there, be downloaded, I should say, and read as soon as possible. So if I click here onto the buyer attachments, you can see a very, very handy button there. We've got the mass download button here. So you can download them all together as a zipped file and put them together. You've also got them broken down here into different areas. So if we were to look at the supplier response guide there, again, and all you do is either mass download up there, or you can click into the individual document and they download there. So if I open this one here, this one is giving you details on how to use PCS-T. So if there's any issues, you can find them in there. Again, if we look at the technical envelopes attachments there, you've got the master ITT that covers all lots. You've got lot 55 on its own, the one that I've looked at, and you've got all of the other ones up there as well. So depending on which lots you're actually going to apply for, will determine which of the other ones you need to go for. But again, if we look here, there's some additional documents within this master ITT as well. So what we'll probably find is when we start doing that master ITT, it will ask for these. So it will ask you for to upload these documents once you've completed them. So this is where it can get a little bit fiddly. So it pays to take all of these. Obviously, if you know you're not applying for specific lots, don't download all of those particular ones, because it's probably just a detailed specification of what they're looking for in that particular lot. But download all of these documents that you know you're going to need, and have a really good read of them before you start typing and completing things, because it can get confusing very, very quickly. Now, that's the buyer attachments, and they'll be there. Another important area to be aware of is your messages up at the top here. Now, because I've just come to the procurement, I've got 4 unread. So anything that has gone previously will be sent to me as well. So that's part of the public sector processes. I will see all the communications that have gone before. I won't just come into it and receive the new ones. So if I click into messages and then received messages there, you can see here some people have maybe already received these about the training today, access to documents somebody's asked. There's a bit of a query there around the commercial pricing as well. What you can also do is obviously use this as your messaging function to ask those clarification questions. So you can either click to create a message there, or you can click on the blue box over here. So say if you found something, or maybe you're saying, right, okay, I've had a look at everything and I've been to the training, but can I just check if I'm applying for these lots, do I have to do this and I have to do that as well? You know, you can ask those sorts of questions, or you might want to ask and say, I've had to look at the detail of what you're looking for on lot 55, lot 28, whatever it might be. Can you clarify what you mean by this? Or we think that you've put this technical standard in and it's not applicable to this lot. Can you confirm? And then they will come back to you on that as well. So if I click on create message, as you can see there, classifications, you can say, you know, what it's based on. Let's just say it's a commercial and pricing query. Type in your subject there. This is a test for the training, the ATT, and send message. So that will go across there. They will then receive it, and you can see whether it's been received, read, and replied to, because sometimes what will happen is you might put in a message, they might have to go and check with technical experts, or, you know, make decisions, or go to governance or something to decide which way to go with it, and then they'll come back to you. So you should receive a reply, but then it will be sent out in that wider Q&A log, and you will be sent the Q&A log here as well. So in your received messages, let's just say I read through all of these today, that should be showing at 0. And then every time I get a new one, I will get a ping and an email from PCS to say there's a new message received, but I will also be able to log in here and see that there are new messages for me there as well. So you need to stay on top of that. And I usually find with complex procurements like this one, there's usually quite a lot of questions asked and clarifications sought as well. This one seems to be doing quite well so far. There's not as many as some other larger scale frameworks I've seen in the past, but keep an eye on that as well. So this would be a good point to show you how you can come back in and find this. So I know where on this page to go to get back to where I was before to start completing my tender, but it's not, sometimes you click off it, you might log out by accident, you might need to come back to it, you know, every couple of days or whatever. So if we go back to the main page, so I've logged in to PCS tender. There's a couple of different ways you can find this. You can look on the dashboard here, and the dashboard, just dismiss that for now. You can see here, it's showing straight away. I've got my messages here. I've got up here my ITTs with pending responses. So it's telling me here I've got to do that master ITT, which is due in by the 8th. Then I've got my lot specific response to do there. If I was applying for multiple bids at the same time, they would all be on there. So that's one way to find it. And again, just click on the hyperlinks to get in where you need to go. Another way to find it, if you don't use dashboard, again, if we go back into the ITTs area there, and you can see up here that it's grayed out until you hover over it, you've got the My ITTs area here. So if I clicked on that, again, you can see here's some stuff that I've clicked on before. And here are the two that I'm working on. So we'll look at the master ITT to start with. So that's the one that everybody has to do. So again, the first thing that I have to do here is just notify my intention to respond. So I might at this point look at the buyer attachments, look at the requirements, you know, see how it's going to be evaluated and decide I don't want to bid on it. Now, if you were to click on the decline to respond, it asks you just to give a reason. And again, I would encourage you to do that because it helps procurement teams understand why, you know, you've looked at it, it was of interest, why have you decided not to do it. It's always good to know because they can improve next time. But for the purposes of today, we'll click on intend to respond. So I can show you what happens next. So now we're in the response area. Now you can see you've got the online questionnaire in Excel, which you can download. I prefer to work in the portal just because it's all saved in there and it auto saves if it logs itself out and things like that. It's less human error for losing. I've got submit response as well. But obviously I can't submit that just yet because I haven't actually completed the responses. Now, again, this is where people get confused because there's a bit of repetition here. In this one here, it's showing you your response summary. So this is telling me I've got to do a qualification and a technical response. And I've got 46 questions to answer for the qualification. Don't panic about that. They're not war and peace questions. They're the basic ones, which if you've done your profile, hopefully will auto-populate. And I've got 7 technical responses. So what's good about this is sometimes you'll go through it all, and as you'll see, they're all in a row going down, and you might think you've done them all, but then it won't submit. And you're like, what is it? What have I not done? And you'll be able to see up here, these two both need to be set to 0 before you can go in and submit your response. So if I just go down here, I just basically go down through the list here and I click on this pen icon up here, which means that I want to open and start working on my response. So if I click on that there, you'll see the view changes slightly, and basically I just go down the page and complete the required information. So I'll say, yes, I've read and understood the supplier response guide, which obviously you all have done because you'll have took my advice to download all the documents and have a look at them. And if you haven't at this point, then you know where to go. So if you've just thought, you know what, I'm just going to start filling it out and see what happens, at this point you go and have a look at that response guide and just make sure that you're okay with that. So we'll put that in just for the sake of moving on. And as you can see here, because I have put that information in my profile, it's pulled some stuff through to me. But, you know, let's just say I haven't done certain things on here. Let me just scroll down. Oh, you know, usual standard here, anything with the star on it is stuff that you have to complete. So let's see, postal address region, England, as you can tell by my accent, not from parts of Scotland. Unfortunately, I have tried my best. I've worked a large part of my career in Scotland, but not moved there just yet, although I might do with the World Cup coming up. As you can see, and you just go down here, and all of this is for people that are familiar with bidding. This is just the electronic version of the single procurement document. And again, you know, as I go down these here, am I bidding with anybody else? I'll just say no. I won't go through all of it because it's more important for us to look at the ITT documents and stuff today. But you basically just go down this here, fill out the boxes, and then if I click here on validate the response, you can see here there's 42 errors. So straight away what this is going to do is it's going to show me the things that I haven't answered. So as I go through these, it's asking me, you know, again, what lots I want to go for, that I've got to click in here, and then I would sort of put those in. Let's just pick one of them here. I'll go for lot 50. I'll go for lot 20 just because. So I can click multiple on here, click out of there, validate response. And again, it's just taking me through to the next page. So this is also a way that some people like to complete this selection stage. You can either start at the top and go down the screen, or you can use this validation function to then sort of, it'll just tell you now answer this, now answer this, now answer that. I'm just trying to see if I can find the one related to, I'm probably best coming out of this actually. I'll just click save changes in there. So I'm just going to quickly show you as well. Let me see if I can get it up on here. No, I can't. So there might also be areas where it's asking you to attach things. I'm just seeing if I can find one very quickly. There's usually a paperclip icon on here where you need to upload something. Let's have a look. I can't find one on here. There'll definitely be one on the ITT one that I can show you. I was trying to find the one where it's talking about fair work first. But anyway, we'll go through that. So I can come into this. I can, as you can see, save the changes, save and exit response. So I can come out of that one. Again, it will be checked if no. Okay, there we go. So you can see there the number's gone down because I've answered a few more questions. So you just need to keep working at it and working through those questions and give the answers. The SPD is the SPD. It rarely changes. There's a few project specific questions in there around, you know, noting what lots you're going for and stuff like that. Again, if you're not sure, this is the time to ask. So if you're going through this over, you know, the next few days before that Q&A log window closes at 5 o'clock on Monday, then you can ask questions to say, I'm not sure what I'm expected to put in here, or what are you looking for in this answer, and if there's anything you haven't done, you will be able to validate that there. If we look at the technical response on this side, you can see here there are a few things that they're asking you to put in. Now, there's the fair work first one. It would appear somewhere. There are these additional sections in here. So again, yes, no, whether you're CIS registered. And here you can see we've got that paperclip icon. So here you might say, tenderer must complete and upload this document, and you're thinking, oh, where is that? That's the one that I showed you in the buyer document. So if it ever asks you to upload something, usually you will be given, and you can see here, you just click on it, and wherever you've saved it on your laptop or your computer, you can just attach it here, very simple, or browse your files. And again, the window will come up for you to have a look at that. So that's the initial selection, and you have to go through all of these. If anybody does have any specific questions about the technicalities of these, we've got obviously the CIS registration, we've got fair work and fair work first, which again, you know, it gives you some more information about what that means. You've got here payment of the living wage, prompt payment within your supply chains, community benefits. So all of those kind of value driven elements of procurement are in there. And then you can see here at the bottom here, these are your technical 30% scoring area for all lots, is the elements of work across all lot types, including hourly rates for equipment and personnel. Describe how you will provide auditable, accurate and transparent evidence to support valuation. So that's asking for sort of general approaches to things there. Then you've got your guidance note down here in terms of what needs to go in that. So it's telling you here when you're answering the question up here, it's asking for 1 page of A4, font Calibri. So it's giving you a specific font to use. It wants it in size 11 and it's got to be in PDF format only. So again, you know, what we might be tempted to do is, personally, I would put that above that, but I don't think the system allows you to do that. But you might just say, oh, right, okay, they want me to answer this question. I've got something about that. We'll drop that in there. But what you might end up doing is putting something non-compliant in. So make sure that when you're answering these questions that you read whatever the notes and details you're given underneath here. So you do have to answer this question, but you've only got one side of A4 in a specific font, in a specific font size, and they only want it in a PDF. Now, because this is the selection stage, this could potentially give rise to your bid being non-compliant. You know, if you don't follow the instructions, if you haven't put the right font size in, all of that stuff matters. And again, up here, you can see here, for these other questions, you've got community benefits and it's a pass fail. So you can see here, suppliers will be required to deliver community benefits which are proportionate to their average annual value of spend under the framework. A yes response confirms the above and will receive a pass. A no means that you will fail, will not be considered by the client unless there are extenuating circumstances. So we're being given the support here to understand we've got a yes, no answer here. What will the impact be on the tender? And usually they're looking for a yes. And then you've got the signature page here, which again is in your buyer documents. It's asking you to sign a set of appendices, which will be related to the form of tender, the validity of the tender, to say you've not colluded, to put pricing in for the tender, all of that sort of stuff. And then you upload that one on here. So obviously today I can't go through and answer all these questions and upload all the stuff for you, but once you've done all of that, you will be given, if I just save and exit here, just an important point of note is that you have to submit the bid. So you can see up here, we've got submit response. So when you've done all of the questions and we've got these both down to 0, that doesn't mean that your bid has been sent in. So you've got this master ITT, which everybody has to do. And if you click the submit response, that means that that goes off to the buyer. Until you press that, it hasn't gone in. And people have been caught out with that before, where they think, oh, well, I've answered all the questions in the portal, so I'm done. You aren't done until you've pressed that submit button. And again, you've got that validation tool to check you've answered everything you're supposed to of. You've got this countdown here, which will tell you, you know, how many you've got left to answer as well. So do use those. So I'm just going to navigate back to then look at the lot specific ITTs. So if I'm going to go into ITTs, my ITT, that's my way of going through it. I don't tend to go through the dashboard, but you can if you want to. Once I've done that one here, I've then got my lot specific submission that I need to do. So if I click on that one here, hopefully it'll let me have a look at it. It will do. Sometimes it locks out where I haven't done the selection, that initial stage. Sometimes you can't move on until you've done the initial stage, but you can do it here. Again, you see I've got a buyer specific attachment here. So I've got a bidder agreement, all this stuff here. Supplier response guide is in there again to help me guide what I need to do. If I go back here, again, we've got the my response in here. And you can see it's giving me more information about what they want me to attach. So until I say that I intend to respond to this, I can't do anything here. So again, these are just the little quirks of PCST that people often get frustrated with. So you're coming in here and you're like, well, I can't do anything. If you click on this here, nothing will actually happen. It's frozen out until you say you're definitely responding. So if I click on intend to respond, again here, we've got this access now. So we've got the summary at the top, very similar to what we've looked at before. And in here, you've got the pricing being submitted. You do have the ability to do, okay, sorry, I've just seen a question pop through there. We'll have a look at those at the end. So you've got the technical response here, one missing response, and then you've got the commercial response. And you can see here, it's bringing the pricing up at the top here and totaling it. So the system is being used in that way as well to sort of bundle the pricing together. Now, again, let's look at the detail that we've got here. So underneath the lot specific scored question, so 70% of the technical score there is in here. Works are required to install. I won't even try and pretend I know what all of this means here, but it is basically asking you to look at the framework scope. So look at those buyer documents again and what the requirements are in there and what the specification says. So within those documents, it will tell you this, that these are the requirements of this lot. This is, what we expect in terms of, let's say, contract management, KPIs, things like that, how we expect the service to be delivered would all be in there. And it says, and the following document, which is provided as an instructional attachment on this note, you've got that additional bit there. And then the actual question it's asking you to answer is, describe your proposed methodology for this. So it's giving you a scenario and it's asking you to then explain how you do that. And underneath here, it says here about, again, more instructions. Your response must be specific to the scenario and reflect the nature of the works. It tells you here a strong response will demonstrate the following. So clear and practical methodology, safety measures detailed in there, an understanding of the general arrangement drawings and how they informed your approach, consideration of site layout and constraints. It says you may make reasonable assumptions to support your response. So a recognition there that in having that case study, maybe it doesn't have everything down to finite detail. So you can make a few assumptions in there, but you need to state what those assumptions are. And again, here you're being told 3 pages of A4 using Calibri font size 11 again, and only saved in PDF. So you don't attach them as a Word document. You don't open a Word document and just type it out in Arial size 12 font or whatever it's automatically set up for. We need to do it in the format required. Now, again, we've got our little pencil icon up here. If I click on that, I'll be able to go off, review all the buyer documents that it's instructed me to, look at the scenario. I'll be able to do that 3-page response. And again, I just click on the paperclip or the browse, and then I upload my response to that question there. So it's uploaded as an attachment. I'm just going to go back because I've got nothing to validate because I haven't put anything in there. So that's my technical response. And then going down after that, you've got the commercial side of it here as well. So again, if I click on the pencil icon here, what I'm doing is I'm going through each of these. It's giving me the information that I need. It's telling me what I need to refer to. It's telling me which of the documents I need to look at here. So again, this is about mobilisation. It's telling me to look in Appendix B within the master ITT documents. It's giving me instructions on what they're looking for. And then it's telling me here to put in my pricing, and it will do that for each of the different sections. So you've got the mobilisation there, you've got per day and hour rates in section 2. And then if I go down to the bottom here, let's have a look. You've got the fee percentage as well in this one, and then all of that will auto calculate. And again, this would be an easy way to sort of get things a bit confused. So you've got that validate response, which again will just highlight to you where you've potentially not completed something. Now, I can't show you, obviously, I can't submit a tender right now with all the bits and pieces on it, but you've got here that submit response up here. So again, you can fill this out. It hasn't gone to the buyer until you've hit submit response. Now, there'll be people here bidding for multiple lots, and I would advise you not to underestimate the challenge of getting everything put in here and uploaded in time. So obviously, I think the deadline was midday, 8th of December. It's easy. It's my mum's birthday, the 8th of December, so it's easy to remember. I'm pretty certain it says midday. So what we don't want to do is come into work at 9 a.m. on that morning and start doing this process. So, go, oh, And again, it's with that additional master envelope, people might think, oh, I've just got to apply for that lot, so I'm fine. You don't, you have to do the master lot as well. Imagine finding that out at 9 o'clock on the 8th of December. And this will take time, you know, so you will have to put these numbers in. You'll be working on your narrative responses, your method statements and things like that offline, potentially in Word, you know, or wherever. Some people might say ChatGPT these days, but you'll be working offline in there. You've got to make sure they're completed, convert them to PDFs, you've got to upload them here. And if you're doing that for maybe like 10 lots, however many, 15 lots, you know, some of you might be lucky enough to be doing all 55 of them, depending on the size of your company. That is a long job. And the portal will slow down as well when there's lots of people using it. Just how technology works. So I would advise you to work on this in the portal, to save as you go and to upload as and when things are available. So don't keep everything stored offline and try and quickly throw it in here as you get closer to the deadline there either, because you might get a little bit stuck with that. So once you've done all that, obviously you go to submit response. Once you've done the master ITT, you've submitted all of your individual lot responses as well, then that is it off and away to the buyer, and then they will begin their evaluation within that. So there's quite a lot of things really to consider there. There's moving from PCS into PCT, PCST, I should say, I always call it PCT, PCST. I would strongly suggest completing that user profile once to help you with that initial selection stage and dragging all the information in. You've got the master ITT to do and upload and submit, and then you've got all of this individual lot work to do as well. So that's quite a significant process there. You know, if you compare that to a smaller tender of a low value under PCS, you click on it on that page that we looked at that gave us the project code. The documents are there, you download them in one go, you complete them, you upload them, and it's done. So make sure you build in enough time to do this. Make sure you understand where to go and navigate and find everything, and make sure that you get a good download of all of those buyer attachments for you to refer to, because it would be really frustrating to be in this one doing the lot specific and it says, you know, look at Appendix B in this document over here, and then you've got to come out of this to go back here to your home page, to go into your ITTs, to find the master documents, to click on it, to find it, have them all the buyer documents in sort of an offline mode so that you can go in and find them there. Again, you can ask your questions in this area as well. So you've got those, you know, might be lot specific questions and clarifications that you want to ask, or you can do them in the master ITT area. So you've got multiple options there. But as I said, you know, we're now at 3 o'clock on the 20th. You've got until 5 p.m. On Monday, and bearing in mind, obviously, we've got Saturday and Sunday between then. So really, you've got tomorrow and Monday, unless you're working the weekend on the bid, to really review all of those documents, to go through this in the same way that I have. So again, looking into the detail of the questions here, you know, what do they mean by this? When you're saying this, could it be interpreted as this? What's a reasonable assumption? Is it a reasonable assumption that we assume this for our method statement? You know, all of those things. So really drill into the detail, ask questions of the buyer documents, ask you know, questions of these response areas as well, and get the answers that you need in before 5 o'clock on Monday, and then hopefully you'll get the responses back fairly quickly, and that will give you a good bit of time to incorporate that information into your responses and get them all in on time as well. So that is the end of the demonstration. I'll keep my screen share on in case there's any questions